Jeroen, you've been to quite a lot of the VetNet conferences
I'm afraid so,
ECER.
yes.
Where would you see the movement? How has ideas changed over time? What do you think the themes emerging at the moment are?
Well, in a way, I think there is a kind of continuity in the in the themes, for example, with regard to work-based learning or competences. But I think, in a way, the atmosphere is becoming a bit more critical. I mean, when we started in the earlier meetings, we were very enthusiastic about, for example, the concept of competences. Now that we've seen what the national systems and CEDEFOP and authorities are doing with it, now we are becoming a little bit more critical about it and looking for new ways of thinking about training and vocational education. Another thing which in a way is a continuity but it's coming back again and again is the attention for the teachers as the real actors in vocational education. What probably is changing, and I'm not sure that is a good thing, is that the attention for the companies in a way is getting away. It's something I see in the Dutch situation too, that in a way vocational education is turning more onto itself rather than to its relationship with the environment.
Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I would say the crisis, if it was only a very recent development, but as I think it's going on already a little bit longer, one reason I think is the growing demand made on the vocational educational system by the changes in the student population. Yes. I mean, students becoming more heterogeneous, students becoming more students with youngsters with problems, with social problems, behavioral problems, learning problems. I mean, after all, vocational education is is responsible for the growth in the length of time that people are supposed to be in school.
Yes.
And even if we try vocational education to make it more attractive by focus on work problems and by introducing work-based learning, it still is school rather than real life. And vocational education is getting youngsters longer from real life in a way than before.
But what I've noticed at this conference, at the sessions I've been to, is we talk far more about higher education than we used to. We used to talk about vocational schools, about what in the UK is called further education. But now a lot of what we're talking about is learning, a vocational learning in higher education. What does that trend mean?
Well, I didn't consciously notice that, but now you say it, I do recognize it. And I probably... One of the things is that the idea of vocational careers has becoming more in the picture. So rather than, and perhaps that something has to do with this focusing more on the educational system itself. Rather than looking at the relation between school and work, we now look at the relation between school and the next school. Yeah. And that has partly to do with the growing demands on the labor market, where they really want more higher education. And of course, when you really put more people into higher education than before, you are using another part of the ability spectrum, and this was the ability spectrum, which was in vocational education. Yes. So we just follow our students and our apprenticeship into the next step of their learning career. And also because higher education has become more important as an economic factor, and because it has enormously grown in the amount of people who are there. There is more attention there. There is more money there. It's partly, we have a lot of criticisms about the European agenda, but it's one of the things Europe has put on the agenda, that the amount of people having higher education should be larger. And they come, so to speak, from our territory, and we have to guide and follow them into that. So I think that's one of the reasons.
But coming back to that issue of the companies, and an issue obviously the recession, which doesn't help us.
Yes.
What can we do to ensure we keep that link?
Well, one thing we can do is taking the fact that we have so much work-related learning in our courses, taking that seriously, because that's a continuous link we have with the companies. So partly the focus is perhaps changing from trying to determine what companies want, because that is part of the whole competence and qualification framework discussion. Perhaps we have to shift focus to what education and companies can do together to foster learning and to help people to get these higher competency levels, higher knowledge and skills levels we expect from them.
And one last question, and then I'll let you return to your coffee. The theme for this ECER conference, of course, is evidence-based policy.
Yes.
Do you see evidence of evidence-based policy?
Well, that's of course a question for an open goal. No, I don't see that. The only nice thing about this is that they are asking for evidence. I mean, the policymakers are not waiting for the evidence, but at least I think it's a good thing that we as researchers and the educational system is taking this question of how can we show that what we are doing is the right thing and that we deliver what we promise. I mean, more attention for that I think is very welcome. So I like this idea of in that respect, I like the idea of evidence practice, but I like to put it the other way around. What we need is more practice-based evidence.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.